We're good.
Welcome to the I Talk, You Talk, We Talk Sports Podcast. This is your host, Joe Harris, and I got with me today Drew, Jeff, and Andy. What is up, fellas?
What's happening?
What up?
Happy Valentine's Day.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, happy Valentine's Day. Oh, I didn't think about that. You know, I do love you guys, so got
I was just going to
yeah.
say that.
got a lot of gifts for you guys here today. We got gifts for our listeners, too, because we have a great show. Because we're going to talk about something that is, well, maybe it's a little bit better to me than everyone else, but a Super Bowl recap. And we're going to go ahead and talk about some free agents that might help some of your teams get to the Tom Brady Invitational next year. So let's just go ahead and start pretty simple here. Super Bowl 55, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes. This one I think was ended up being a little bit unexpected the way the finish was. The final score was 31-9. Obviously, I was happy about that. I'm just going to go ahead and instead of gloat, I'm going to go ahead and start to my upper. We don't have a left and right now because there's only four of us. So my upper half is Drew. What'd you take out of that Super Bowl?
Super whack, dude. That's so whack. Look, man. Tom Brady played great. He did what he does. He is the GOAT. That's undebatable. Anybody who really truly is trying to debate that, any like thing they come up with is a stretch. You know what I'm saying? It's just such a stretch. Brady's got all of the numbers. He's got that. He passed the eye test time and time again. He's overcome things. He just wins. He's a winner. That's what he does. But the MVP, and I ended up turning that game off a little bit early. I was like, yeah, I'm definitely over this game. I'm barely hitting any prop bets. I'm like, okay, it's whatever. But I think before the end of the game, I said Todd Bowles in that defense is the MVP. The game plan that they put together to combat Patrick Mahomes and what he does best was incredible. It was absolutely outstanding. And that's the only time since Pat Mahomes has become the starter that we've seen him checked like consistently throughout a game. So what that's going to do now is now they've set the game plan of what every defense that wants to be a contender in the AFC, how they need to structure their defense, you know, the type of personnel that they need to go and get, the game plan that they need to have against the Chiefs. You know, that's all. The bar has been set, and now there is something that they have to go off of, you know, to make a game plan. So that I think that's gonna be the biggest impact, you know. But as far as you know, Brady and the Bucks, you know, I got it wrong. Straight up, I was wrong. I am not afraid to say when I'm wrong. I'm not scared of it. I'll come out. I go out on limbs all the time. I called the Chiefs. I was dead wrong, but I also told everybody that was listening that there will be defense in this game. And I hyped up those Tampa Bay guys like Levante David, number 54, who we saw all night on Travis Kelce. You know, and some of the other guys that they have, man, and they utilized every one of them to the best of their ability. So, you know, it is what it is. I lost about $30. I'm not tripping. But I could have won like 300 something, you know. So that's a bit of a bummer. But I'll take my little $30 loss in a wrong call in the Super Bowl. Whatever.
$30 isn't bad. It could have lost a lot more. So yeah.
Yeah, could have been much worse.
Jeff.
Yeah, you know what? The game itself didn't really stand out in Super Bowl fashion. You know what I mean? It just seemed it wasn't boring because, as you said, Drew, the two things that I took from this is it's the first time that we saw Patrick Mahomes look like not the superstar that he is. And to be fair with him, he did everything that he could, man. He did make some amazing throws. He made some amazing plays. His guys failed him. It was just I don't know if they overlooked Tampa Bay, which would have been that's just all bad, or they had too much going on that week with coaching staff, and accidents and the stuff that happened off the field. They just looked overwhelmed from the very beginning. And as you said, you got to put it all on. They just laid out the game plan and how you make Mahomes look like a regular quarterback. And it was funny because the way Mahomes plays and the things that he's done, no matter what the score is, probably until the last 6 minutes of the game, you're always thinking, well, he's going to get it anyway. He's going to come back. You know what I mean? They're going to score. They're going to do this. And then when it got down to those last few minutes of the show, of the game, it was the real realization that they weren't going to win. And I agree. This game makes Tom Brady the GOAT. And I've said it before. I'm not really a fan, but you know what? His whole career, every time that someone says something about him or says he's going to do this or can't do that, you don't have a great team around you this year. Well, he wins the Super Bowl. Oh, he's got, you know what I'm saying? He's not going to be this great quarterback when he got into the league. And he is. Well, he can't win at this age with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Well, he just did. And I'll give it up. Seriously, this generation of like high school kids don't know anybody else other than Tom Brady as far as watching Super Bowls and stuff. And that's what my girl even says. She's like, what's a Super Bowl without Tom Brady? Hopefully we'll see one next year.
Yeah, I don't know about that. He already said that he's going to be returning. He didn't even leave the field before he said that. So count on him having a chance to get back again. Andy.
Yeah, like Drew said, the game was awful. There's literally 10% of America enjoyed watching that game, and they were all Tom Brady fans and closet Boston fans that pretended like they didn't want Tampa Bay to win, but they actually did. But no, the story of the game to me, and I'm not here to make excuses, but the story of the game to me is about a little yellow piece of cloth. It got thrown around a lot on Kansas City. 11 penalties called on Kansas City, 4 called on Tampa Bay. And then obviously I think, having hindsight's 2020, right? But having 2 of your starting linemen out on both ends, that plays a key role. But the Bucs did their thing, especially on the defensive side of the ball. They got on the offensive side of the ball, they got a lot of short fields, and Tom Brady took advantage of that like he always does. But there's a lot of people out there, and maybe not a lot of people is the wrong word, but there's people out there that are trying to say like, oh, Patrick Mahomes is done, this and that. He's played 3 years in the league. He's been to the AFC Championship and the Super Bowl twice. So let's not write this dude off by any chance. He played – we've all watched him. He played the first bad game of his career. It just so happened to be in the Super Bowl. But I'm a big proponent of making it all the way to the top, even if you lose. So I grant you he would rather have gotten all the way there and lost than lost in the first round. But that's for a different sport, Jeff.
I know what you're talking about.
No, but no, hey, you can't take the game away. You got to tip your hat to the Bucs, accept your loss, and hopefully it motivates Kansas City going forward.
I think it'll definitely be a motivating loss for them. Mahomes, when you look at the numbers, you talk about the offensive lineman not being there. Yeah, you talk about receivers dropping passes. But you guys remember who didn't get credit for that? Tom Brady last year in the loss to the Tennessee Titans. I told you guys earlier this year, the team ranked 5th in the league in drop passes, and they were dead last in separation. His wide receivers were trash. He threw 0 touchdowns, and I believe only 1 pick, and everyone destroyed him. But now Patrick Mahomes has that game in the Super Bowl, and everyone wants to say, he didn't have this, he didn't have that, blah, blah, blah. Tom Brady's 43 years old. He was 42 years old last year when that happened. Patrick Mahomes is 23, 24? I agree. Me and Andy were talking about it. The people who are saying he's fallen off and everything like that, you're just crazy. You're people who just stop watching football. We don't want to hear your opinion. And you know what? I'm going to actually attack one particular person who for damn sure knows better than it. Marcellus Wiley. He said that the Kansas City Chiefs players are starting to not believe in Patrick Mahomes.
Oh,
I'm like, where in the hell did you get that? Andy, what was it that you said Marcellus was doing?
I don't even remember what he said, but he's big tripping.
Yeah. I think what it was perfect. You said it was Marcellus wilding.
Yeah, he's wilding out. Marcellus Wiley is wilding.
That's the type of takes you get from ESPN, man. That's the type of stuff you hear.
That's what we said too, Joe. Like truthfully, like that just screamed like I'm getting paid. I have to say something like this.
Yeah. And that's it. And I would probably tell them my reputation is a little bit too high. I'm sorry, I can't do this one. Because that's just ridiculous. But yeah, nonetheless, like I said, better Super Bowl to me than it was for other people. Of course, I am a Tom Brady fan, whatever you want to call it, closest Tampa Bay fan, whoever it may be. But like I said, he didn't get any of the excuses last year when it happened to him. So I can't give Patrick Mahomes a pass.
But the only thing that I'll give you a retort to that is that who was Tom Brady throwing the ball to? So them dropping passes, I was like, oh, okay, it happens all the time. They suck. He's passing to potentially 2 Hall of Famers, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, and Tyreek Hill lets the ball hit him in the face like 4 times.
So I mean, for that reason, why should I give him a pass? That's exactly my point. Like, you know, he has 2 guys who are very capable of making it. How many balls did they catch during the regular season? I think they were both top 10 in the league in receiving yards. So yeah, maybe they have a bad day at the office, but you know, I'm not giving him any more credit because he had better receivers. Like, think about how much more Tom would have got killed if he had Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce on the field. And
that's my point, is that I don't think Tom Brady should be getting killed for that.
Yeah. Look, you know what, Mahomes is Mahomes. They got out game planned, and then they didn't make adjustments because, honestly, if he was in pressure like that all day, he should have been getting rid of the ball. He should have been getting rid of the ball quick, fast, and you got all these. I mean, they covered him on the few plays that they did do that. Tampa Bay was there, but you got to keep going. They just got out game plans.
Yeah, straight up. That Todd Bowles game plan was incredible. It was incredible. And, I mean, that's one of the best things that could have happened for the Browns because there's so many free agents that could fit our team to make it so that we have a very similar type of defense next year. It is good. We need to pounce. Sorry, but we're getting there. My bad. I'm burying it. My fault.
Well, the one thing I know is that I'm starting to see a trend, though. So, you know, the last boring Super Bowl that everybody watched was the New England Patriots versus the Rams. It was Tom Brady, and it was boring to everyone. Now this one's the next boring one. So, sure, next year will be another boring one for everybody until he stops winning. No one's going to see an exciting Super Bowl. That's how it goes. So we're tired of seeing this soap opera run all over again is what everyone's thinking.
They were boring for different reasons. At least they scored some points this year.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So, obviously, I think that both of these teams are going to be back in the mix next year. Going back-to-back is tough. So I'm going to say outside of those 2 teams. But if I were to ask you guys, you know, who you could see in the I'm going to continuously call it this from now on, by the way, the Tom Brady Invitational. Who do you guys have making it next year?
Whew. Super early Super Bowl 2021-22 pick. Wow. All right. So free agency needs to pass. The NFL draft needs to come. And then there's all kinds of other variables that will play a factor. But right now, I mean, if the Browns make the moves that I think we're aiming to make, I think we could get there next year. I really do. Even with Baker. You know, and I know Browns fans, right? Browns fans don't want to hear that shit. They do not want to hear it. But Baker Mayfield is mid-level quarterback in the NFL. It's just true. I'm sorry, y'all. Like, I'm a huge Browns fan. I've been a Browns fan. I've been a Browns fan since there were no Browns here to root for. That's the year I actually got all my gear. I was starting to get in tune with sports and what was going on in the world. So they can't nobody tell me I'm not a Browns fan. That's crazy. I'm telling you, I am realistic, and Baker is a product of our offensive line. That is just it. But we have the line. So there it is. If you can win in the trenches, you can go very far. Like, look at Tampa Bay. They dominated offensive and defensive lines. Just push those guys around all game. And, that's a big factor in winning. So out of the AFC, I'll take the Browns getting there. Man, the NFC, good Lord, man. Wow. Dude, there's so many quarterback changes coming. Russ wants out of Seattle. It's like, what? Oh, my God. Like,
that one's a huge one, honestly.
That's huge. And Seattle's my pick most of the time because I just love how their team is built. I believe in their system. I like how they do things in Seattle. But without Russ, there's how could I possibly? And who did they replace him with? So dude, it's up in the air out of the NFC, man. I'll just go ahead and say Green Bay adds another dynamic receiver in free agency, and they get to the Super Bowl.
So Aaron Rodgers from 1-4 in the NFC Championship to 2-4 in the NFC Championship game.
I mean, it's so early.
Does he beat the Browns? I know this.
Hell no. Hell no. No way. Not a chance.
Jeff, who you got? Early pick.
You know what? I agree that KC and Tampa Bay are going to be right there at the top in the mix. I do believe the Browns have a legitimate chance. We'll see if I think Stefanski deserved Coach of the Year, and I think that he's going to make the right moves, and I think he's going to tweak their system a little bit to fit, a little bit better, a little bit more consistent, and not give up 30 points in second halves. But I think they'll figure that out. And I like Seattle. I always like Seattle. And I really don't know what happened because Russell Wilson was putting up ridiculous numbers this year in the first half of the season. And then all of a sudden, we talked about it at that time. He was averaging 4 touchdowns a game. And then they played the Rams and they shut him down. No touchdowns, 2 picks. And then the rest of the season, he wasn't even as good as Baker Mayfield. I really don't know what happened up there. If they can get that together and get their little whatevers worked out, I think Seattle's always a possibility. The NFC, you know what? They don't talk about it that often, but New Orleans defense has been stellar over the past few years, and they really keep that team in a position to always be in the mix. We'll see what happens with Breeze. We'll see if someone goes there as quarterback. If Winston is their quarterback, I don't see them making it that way, but they'll still be in the playoffs. And I really do like the Rams. I think that this was a big year for them. I'm not, like I said, Goff, Stafford, they're not that dissimilar. I think Stafford brings a little bit more leadership and of course, veteran stability to the position there. But I think their defense is amazing. And if they add one piece, they have a good running backs. If they could add one piece, one decent receiver, which there's a lot of them out there that might be moving, but say they could pick up a Allen Robinson or I'm not sure about T.Y. if he's on his way down, but he still adds something to your offense. But I think that the Rams might be the surprise team next year.
Real quick, if they don't get to the Super Bowl next year after the shit they pulled this year, they in trouble. Big trouble. You have no first-round picks for the next 2 years. Like, oh, my God. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, they're in for next year, and that's what they're doing.
Dude, they better for Sean McVay's sake.
I think that is why they have to make that. I think we talked about this a little bit last week. I think that is why they have to make that big wide receiver sign because Rob I just don't see as being a number one and a true threat on the outside. Cooper Kupp, he is who he is. He can obviously be good. but I just think they need someone explosive. Allen Robinson would be nice. There are some other names that we'll talk about on that list in a little bit here. Andy, who are your early picks?
My super early, super uneducated Super Bowl pick.
Perfect.
I'm taking the Browns, and not just because I'm a diehard. I think they really are on the precipice of that. So taking the Browns, and by the way, you can get them plus 2,000 right now. So if you're feeling confident, there's some money to be made there. And I like one of the two. I like either the Packs or the Bucks to come back. I'll just go Bucks right now, but I think it'll be between them and a rematch of the NFC Championship game once again. But I think the Browns got what it takes. And then we're going to get into it here in a second. But if they add a couple pieces that I'm really hopeful about, I think they'll have a chance at really being a contender. Right now, they're kind of a step away. But as you know, we have to get through the offseason and see what they add to the teams.
That would be awesome if it was the Bucks and the Browns, because that'd be like the Super Bowl 100 commercial? Was that what it was?
Yeah, where he was like, "Hold my rings."
Yeah, and that was like the passing of the torch. What if that was like the passing right there? It just ended up turning into reality. Just got an idea. No, so I mean, and like once again, I say I try to stick away from Tampa Bay and Kansas City just because I know. So for the most part, I agree with the Green Bay pick on the NFC side. They were right there this year. I expect that they will add a wide receiver, maybe in the draft too, because they already blew it and went and got a quarterback this year when they should have probably gotten Rodgers a receiver. But they'll at least get him some help in the playoffs. I imagine that it would be like Juju Smith-Schuster. For some reason, I thought that would be a really good pickup for them. I think I mentioned that kind of early in the season because I was wondering if they would try to make a push before the trade deadline, especially with all of the receivers that Pittsburgh has. I highly doubt that he'll be returning there. So he'll be one of the names I imagine will be moving to another team. As far as the AFC is concerned, as much as I want to go with the Browns, much like everyone else has, I'm going to probably put that one more year out. I see another successful season for them, maybe a second year into the playoffs, and then we realize that they're kind of in the position that they should be to become legitimate contenders. Maybe even an AFC Championship appearance, depending on seeding and whatnot. But someone who I would probably look out for this year, and once again, I more than likely expect Kansas City to be the team to be in there, but would actually be the Buffalo Bills. I just think that third year of experience in the playoffs for them would be pretty good. They did play that game decently well. If they can somehow do something on the run department, I think they become a far better team. I expect them to heavily pursue Aaron Jones during the offseason. I think that would be a really good fit for him. It hurts me to say it just as much as it hurt me to say at the beginning of the year that they were going to be that much better than the Patriots, but the Buffalo Bills are that damn close. I hope they don't win. For that reason, I prefer to see Kansas City go to the Super Bowl than anyone else. But so I see those two, and if they were to play each other, then I don't know. I guess the Packers. The Packers would clearly beat the hell out of the Buffalo Bills. But yeah, that would probably be the most boring Super Bowl ever, honestly, to tell you.
I think that would be exciting. I think Rodgers, Allen
for you guys.
Right.
See, look at that how exciting it sounded already for you just because it wasn't Tom Brady. Told you guys, that's all it is.
Well, look, I was pumped for this year's game. I don't mind seeing Tom Brady in Super Bowls because, there's that guy or that team in most sports that's like, okay, they're the ones to beat. They're the ones to slay. I don't think because there's familiar faces that makes it boring. I think it's bringing another element of, some crazy stuff to go down, and it did. That game was, no one saw this coming. I don't know. You did not see Patrick Mahomes being shut down and not throwing any touchdowns. That's crazy. And the punter? What? The punter gave Tampa Bay at least 13 points? Gave it away. Field position is huge in football. And I mean, Kansas City just didn't have it all game. No field position.
Yeah. The only reason I almost picked the score that was kind of similar to this was because that's what I wanted to come out because of my Super Bowl swear, but I actually avoided doing it just in case because I didn't want to look foolish when we did this show today. I wish I would have, but it was going to be 34-12 was going to be my pick, and I was just like, there's just no way in hell that Kansas City's only going to score 12 points, so I'm just not even going to risk it. But I would have been damn close. Should have just went with my gut on it.
Dude, did I tell y'all about the prop bet? And I skimmed over. I looked at it, and then I was like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that. But it was the range of scoring for Kansas City, and it was between 3 and 9 for plus 6,500. Man, are you kidding me?
Hindsight.
I could have just thrown $1. Just $1.
It's almost worth it just to throw the money.
Hey, did anybody take the under in that game scoring? I can't remember if anybody did. Oh, I did as well. Yeah, I did as well.
I did. I went on
to what we talked about. If you like the dog, you take the under, and it worked out perfect this time.
Well, it ended up that I liked the Chiefs, but I still took the under.
I was a big believer that there would be a good amount of defense on both ends. Like I really did. And then the punter screwed that all up with the field position. But, I knew there would be defense played, in this game. I felt it in my bones, down in my plums.
All right. So in order for some of those teams that we named and even some of the other ones to get back to either a playoffs or a Super Bowl in general, obviously free agency and a draft is going to be pretty relevant to it. Draft, I'm sure we'll have a show a little bit closer to that time. But some of the top free agents that are going to be on the market at every position are going to be very relevant to that, of course. So starting with wide receivers, I think we've already mentioned a couple people like Allen Robinson, Juju Smith-Schuster. Who's someone that you see on that list that could maybe land with one of these teams, or any team in general? Honestly, you can talk about another team we haven't to make them a competitor, put them into the playoffs, maybe give them a boost. Start with, we'll just keep the same order for ease. Drew.
Yeah, it's hard to look over Allen Robinson. I mean, that's the guy. That is the guy. If he goes to any contending team, they're gonna be nasty. They're gonna be so nasty. Or even if the Bears are able to keep him and the Bears go get a top tier quarterback, that makes the Bears the instant contenders. Look at the circumstances that they faced this year, and they still got into the playoffs. They still got in there. That defense is serious. I like their guys in the trenches. I think the Bears have what it takes. They just need that quarterback to take them above and beyond. And I think on the other side of that, obviously, Allen Robinson can take any team, any contending team he goes to above and beyond. Like imagine him in Green Bay. Or imagine him in like Buffalo, or imagine him, name another good quarterback ran team like the Chiefs. If the Chiefs got Allen Robinson, whoo, that's trouble. That's big trouble for the rest of the league. So I think a lot of the continuing signings is going to be based on where he ends up.
Yeah, I like I said, Robinson. Yeah, I think he's at the top of the list. And if I was Allen Robinson, I'm looking at other places if they don't make a move at quarterback. Absolutely. Go play somewhere else, to someone that can actually get him the ball. But There's a couple other guys. I'm not sure the situation of Will Fuller, but I think he's one of those guys that can change it up too. I know that he's had injury problems and been prone to missing games and stuff, but last year when he was on, he was really good. And without D. Watt, I don't think he's as good because, I mean, you have the league leading quarterback in yardage. That helps you out a little bit, but he's fast. He can get down the field. It's not as fast as Fuller or Tyreek Hill, but I think that he's about to head into the best part of his career if he can stay healthy. And the other guy on that list is, if I was Marvin Jones, I might want to follow my boy out to LA and play with him at the Rams because I think he's getting better as well. Marvin Jones is also at the age where now he's reaching his peak for a receiver age. He's fast. He's gotten better. So I think Marvin Jones is also one of those guys that could be a difference maker on a team that has a decent quarterback. But I would like to see the Bears keep Robinson, and we'll take unhappy Russell Wilson. How about that?
Whoa. Hey, now. I like that.
You get him the Bears defense plays pretty well. Russell can definitely manage games, and they have a receiving threat and a good running back. Almost the same scenario as what it was for Seattle when he came into the league. As far as Will Fuller, though, before we hop over to Andy, Drew, how long did PED stay in your system? Or how long do you benefit the effects? What was it? What was
4 years.
4 years. Yeah, he's got 4 more good years in him then.
Yeah, Jeff stole mine. Mine is Will Fuller, and I would love to see him in a Packers uniform. I think that he would be a healthy number 2 punch as he was with D. Hopkins. I think he's got that speed to really take the top off your defense. I just think he would be nasty there. But let me pose a question to you guys. If you're the Bucks, right? If you're the Bucks, you're going all in on one player. Is it Chris Godwin or Allen Robinson?
Ooh.
I think you stick with what you have. I think they're just going to stay together.
Well, don't get me wrong. I think they should stay together. I think they should try to bring back as many pieces and parts of that unit on both sides of the ball as they possibly can. But if I were running the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and I had to make a choice between Godwin and Robinson, give me Robinson. Yes.
Yeah, they're gonna make a. Go ahead, Joe.
I was just gonna say he's the guy that has the incredible hands on a team, like on short yardage routes and everything. It works out for a team that includes Tom Brady a little bit more, if you ask me. If you're looking at Allen Robinson, yeah, at this point in time in their career, I think consistency-wise, he's probably slightly better maybe than Mike Evans. I kind of say they're about the same. And Mike Evans, and this kind of goes to Drew's point where I think they'll probably end up keeping a lot of what they have together. Mike Evans has already agreed that he's going to restructure and take less money because he wants that team to stay together. I think he just got the biggest taste of winning he's ever had in his career, and he's not stupid. So he's going to really help out as far as keeping everybody on board on offense and defense. And Tom's willing to do the same, and you'll probably have other guys who are willing to do the same. So
it's pulling the Tim Duncan.
I think they probably keep Godwin there.
And the only reason I ask that is because they're probably going to make about the same amount of money. I know you're talking about taking less, but I'm telling you right now, Chris Godwin's going to make like $20-some million a year. So is Allen Robinson. Whereas a guy like Will Fuller, he's probably going to be in that $15 to $17 million a year range. So I think he slots in better as a number 2. But also the thing about Chris Godwin, yes, he does have the good hands, but they've got another guy named Antonio Brown who, if they lost Godwin, he would slot right into that position because I think they'll re-sign him for a year.
I think Brown's gone.
That is true.
I think Brown's gone. I think they love them some Scotty Miller. They want more Scotty. Scotty too hotty.
Well, it is hard to give up on Scotty Miller, but I think that Tom Brady really, really, really wants Antonio Brown to be there. I think he just likes the veteran presence that he has. It's clear that he really wanted him in New England, and after he got released after the one game, things kind of started to visually crumble a little bit more between Bill Belichick and Tom Brady's relationship. And then, in Tampa, if you recall earlier in the year when we discussed it, Bruce Arians said, absolutely no, we're not bringing Antonio Brown in. But who was the first team that honestly took a shot at him as soon as he was eligible to come back into the league? It's like Tom walked in the offense and goes, Harry, look, I know what you said, but I came here for a reason. That's who we're going to go with. So I could see them letting Godwin go if they re-sign Antonio Brown. And I still just don't know if any other team is going to take a chance on Antonio Brown, because if he's not winning, I'd be afraid to see what the hell started happening in that locker room.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the Scotty Miller thing, we all know that Tom Brady loves short white guys. So there's got to at least be one guy on the team that's short and white.
I think Amendola's on that list this year too.
Oh.
So Danny Amendola would be a good one. No one care about AJ Green, T.Y. Hilton, any presence that they can make anywhere.
No.
T.Y. Hilton late in the year actually came on.
Yeah, he did.
After I dropped him.
After everybody dropped him.
Right.
After I dropped him and you picked him up and then you dropped him.
Yeah, he was that guy this year.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about where they. I mean, maybe they could make impacts. Maybe. I just don't. I need to see it again from both guys before I get excited.
Look, if AJ Green can, like we were talking about, fit into like a Green Bay, maybe, and not have to be the structured number one receiver, I think he can still have a nice impact. But I mean, I don't think he's going to change the outcomes of any team specifically.
What if Green Bay goes out and gets two of these guys? Let's say for one, the Will Fuller one, I think is nice. But what if they went and got Will Fuller and T.Y. Hilton, or Will Fuller and AJ Green?
That's a big upgrade for the receiving core that they've had over the past couple of years. Absolutely.
Yeah, because I mean, you are going to want these guys to start seeming like they can compete on paper with some of the Tampa Bays and the New Orleans. I mean, their offensive rosters are stacked. I mean, you got Michael Thomas and Kamara and Emmanuel Sanders out in New Orleans, but then when it comes to Green Bay, I hate to say it, and Robert Tonyan is coming on, but realistically, you have Devontae Adams and then MVP, whatever his name
Marquez Valdez Scantling.
MVS.
To be honest with you, I hope that none of that shit happens. I hope Aaron Rodgers asks to leave and goes to the Bears just so he can mess with Green Bay over the next few years, because I don't know where that situation's going, and I don't know how unhappy anybody really is there, but I don't want to see Green Bay improve at all.
Speaking of Green Bay improving, they are going to actually be missing a very, very valuable player on their offense the past couple of years, in Aaron Jones. He is the headline at the free agent running back position. I think I mentioned earlier I could see him possibly landing somewhere like Buffalo or something. Another random name I've actually seen is the Dolphins are going to be heavily a favorite for him as far as going after him. Some of the other free agent names that we see on the list include Kenyon Drake, Chris Carson. I'm sure you guys have some other names. What free agent running backs do you guys see making some moves and improving some teams that are on the way to the playoffs and championship next year? I'm sorry, Drew.
I really didn't. I was. Oh, wait, what? What happened?
Wait, what?
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we got you. Yeah, free.
Okay.
Free agent running back.
Yeah, my bad.
Running back. Yep.
Yeah, I know. I know the dude from. Well, we were just talking about him. Green Bay.
Aaron Jones.
Okay, so Aaron Jones is exciting and everything, but I'm like drooling over some of these defensive guys that I see on this list. So I'm gonna go ahead and pass it over to Jeff the El Jefe over here.
You know what, Aaron Jones, he's just – I know he's put up overall really good numbers, and he's had some ridiculous games over the last couple of years. For some reason, I really don't think he's that guy. I mean, even towards the end of the season, they started getting him the ball less and less and less, and he's one of those guys. He'll rush for 130 yards and 3 touchdowns, and then next week he'll have 22 yards and -4 receiving yards. I mean, he put up more single-digit games for being a top-tier fantasy guy than anyone that I have. He did it to me 2 years ago, and I know he did it down the stretch this year. I think Chris Carson, I think he's got some ability to be a game changer, and he can be your go-to guy. But honestly, the guy that I saw on the list that I think could really be the game changer for a couple teams is one of our local guys, man, Kyle Juszczyk. It's the highest paid fullback in the history of the NFL. I know we don't use fullbacks like we used to, but he's averaging 3 or 4 touchdowns a year out of the backfield catching the ball. And there's a reason why you're the highest paid fullback in the history of the NFL is this guy can block. So interesting. I wasn't thinking about it before, but like you just said, Joe, if Aaron Jones could land himself in Buffalo or something like that, I think Juszczyk's a really good fit for Buffalo because of Josh Allen's game. He runs, you know what I mean? You don't feel the need to give the ball to Juszczyk, so Allen can still keep running the ball, but it's a lot of little dinks and dunks. And like I said, he's a great blocker. They say Kyle's really nice in the locker room. You know what I mean? He's well respected around the NFL. He played for Baltimore for all those years. And I know he's not the top of anybody's list, but I think that he could take a contender depending on the structure of their offense. You know what I mean? If they're strictly a one back and, you know, you have a horse, he might not be the guy, but I believe that could take a couple teams over the edge, Buffalo being one of them, actually.
No doubt.
Agreed. Yeah, I didn't even really know that he was a free agent. It would be tragic if San Francisco actually let him go. I imagine they'll try to keep him. But if he were to go somewhere, that would be a good fit for him. He almost would be a great fit anywhere because, like you said, there's not too many fullbacks in the league anymore that can do what he does. So he's going to open it up for anyone, especially if they were a run first team, which would make him a really, really perfect fit in Buffalo again. Andy, running back position.
Yeah, I think there's actually some really intriguing guys on the list of free agents that are going to, be up this offseason. I think someone we haven't talked about yet is Philip Lindsay. I think he's got a really, really good shot to go somewhere and be probably a number 2 punch. I don't think that you sign him as but you look at him as like a Kareem Hunt. Like he could add that to one of these contenders for sure. I don't know where he goes, but I really like to see him play for a winner and get out of Denver. I really like him. Does Le'Veon Bell have one more year in him?
No.
No, he's done?
None.
He's just like, I don't know.
I don't know, man. I think he can maybe play one more year. Yeah, and then obviously Aaron Jones is the big fish in this little pond. So we'll see what happens. I think Green Bay is going to do everything they can to keep him, but we'll see. Maybe not. Leonard Fournette, is he going to re-sign in Tampa Bay? Talking about guys taking less.
That they gave him at the end, I think he stays. I think Tom says he wants him, and he fit that system perfectly. He runs hard and he catches lots of passes. So I think he stays. I think that's a good one.
I hate that dude. I really do.
That was like that sounded like my hatred for Kyrie Irving. That was like very deep and passionate. I heard every bit of it in your voice. There is one guy I'm going to bring up here that I'm surprised that Drew didn't know or didn't touch on here, and that's Mike Davis. I thought you really liked you some Mike Davis this year, so I could see him actually landing a couple places.
I was just trying to hype him up so I could trade him to you.
The truth shall come out.
I'm a salesman when I gotta be.
That's what. So Jeff was trying to do it, and then Jeff traded him to Drew, and then Drew traded, or
That's what
no.
I was working on. I was working on getting him
Jeff
from
ended up
Jeff.
trading him to me. Yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah.
You talked him up enough for Jeff to get a trade done with me.
Yeah.
Another big name, and this kind of goes back to touch on what Andy said with Leonard Fournette. I don't necessarily see him re-signing, or if they do, then they'll have 3 guys there, which isn't unheard of. But James White is going to be a free agent, and I don't see him re-signing with New England. And what better place would it be to go with Tom Brady, a familiar quarterback who likes to pass out of the backfield, and I think that James White excels at catching the ball even a lot more than Leonard Fournette does. He's obviously been a part of a couple of those Super Bowls that Brady has been able to put under his belt. So I see that as being one of those a reunion tour for him. Le'Veon Bell was another mark for me. I don't ever see him going back to his first 5 seasons. He's the definition of a running back having a 5-year lifespan in the NFL. But all of them eventually have that one season where they do a little bit of something, just like a minor resurgence. I think Le'Veon Bell could do that somewhere. Where, I don't necessarily know. I just don't believe it'll be in Kansas City. I think they're done with him. But yeah, as far as the most intriguing, it obviously would be Aaron Jones to me, maybe Chris Carson. Philip Lindsay could end up in Kansas City. I don't think that would be a bad move for him. So those are definitely some good ones to watch for. We'll hop through the next one relatively quickly. Free agent tight ends. This list really only have 5 names on it, and I don't even necessarily know that all of them are relevant. Hunter Henry, Jonnu Smith, Gerald Everett, Robert Gronkowski, and Jared Cook. Special mention that Mo Alley Cox, because he won me like one fantasy game this year before, like, not anything else. Any of those free agents you guys see making a move anywhere, like maybe Hunter Henry or something that makes anyone that much better?
No, Hunter Henry's the truth, but I think he resigns. I think most of those guys resign. Maybe Jonnu could be on the move. But look, we got to see what happens in the draft, because I have heard of a couple of tight ends that are coming out this year that are supposed to make a big splash in the NFL this year. So we just got to see what happens there. But I think most of those guys end up resigning, honestly.
Yeah, I kind of agree with.
Go ahead. No.
I kind of agree with that. I don't see any of those guys really being the game changer, highly sought after by anybody. I mean, Jared Cook still has some in him, but he's getting old. Henry's probably on that list, probably the most sought after, I would say, just because he's a big guy and he does catch the ball pretty well. I think he could help a team that is looking for a tight end. Gronk, he goes wherever Brady goes. So if Brady retires, Gronk retires. If Brady's coming back, Gronk's coming back. So I don't see big moves at the tight end position this year either.
You guys saw the T-Mobile commercial. Andy.
Yeah, I think the tight end position is kind of ho-hum, but I think that's by design, right? The tight ends are not like, unless you're talking about, the top 4 guys in the league, they're not like true game changers so much to say, although Gronkowski really kind of broke the Super Bowl open this year. But like what was the big signing last year? Austin Hooper. And, he was probably the top tight end signed, right? And he didn't, make a huge impact in the Browns. Yeah, I don't know. I have no read on where any of these guys are going to go. Hunter Henry is I think far and away the best tight end in this class. But I think that the Chargers need to keep him there in order to have a safety blanket for Justin Herbert, who I think is going to be pretty good. If anybody, I can see Gerald Everett moving on. I can see the Rams going all in and trying to sign like a Jonnu Smith or sign one of these big wide receivers, and they're not going to have money to pay a guy like that. So we'll see. Not that he's going to demand top dollar or anything, but I can see him moving on from the team.
Yeah, it's very clear that Gronk's gonna stay. If they were to not randomly not decide to pick him up, then he would just retire. He's not gonna go anywhere else at this point in time. Hunter Henry is that big one. Hey, do the Browns have how much money do they have left? Can they go 2 tight ends? Can they go sign Hunter Henry too? Would that not bolster that offense?
Is Njoku not gonna? Is he not in the mix?
He's gone, dude. Gone.
He's got to go. You can't ask for 3 different trades during a season.
He's talented. He has potential, and if he ever puts it all together, Njoku's going to be a beast. But
yeah, the issue is that the what he was carrying around were 2 cinder blocks for hands, and it was hard for him to catch the ball, and that's pretty important at that position. So, and he actually learned how to block this year, though, so that was key. But yes, see you later, David. Bye, Chief.
Yeah, exactly.
Stick him on that man's glove.
We got tight ends. We've got tight ends. It's like, we're good. What?
I think Hooper's going to have a big year next year. I think he's got to be in that game plan for the Browns.
I agree with that. Yeah, he should be. He should be, woven in for sure. But I think we found our staple as a team, like the type of offense that we're going to run consistently is definitely going to be run and based off of our ground game, So, I think anything outside of that's not an interception is pretty sweet. I mean, and I say that because I've seen Baker skip passes to wide open Marvin Halls. I've seen it too many times.
He's gonna live with that forever.
I will forever. Yeah. We needed that so bad. Oh, and that was Jeff's pick for the week. That was
It would have worked. It would have worked.
It would have been. He'd have been gone. He'd have turned around and had wide open field for a touchdown. Oh,
he would have been throwing up. He would have been throwing up peace symbols.
We wouldn't have had to play the Chiefs in the playoffs. Well, we would have had to eventually, but anyway. What?
All right. So there's a very short offensive line poll. I mean, if any of you guys want to run through some really quickly, you can. I think Alex Mack is a big one for me, but really I was going to jump on over to defense. Is there anyone on the offensive line that you guys are looking at that might make a move somewhere, help out, or we go ahead and make that jump to defense?
Defense.
Yeah,
defense.
Sorry, offensive line guys.
Hey, the big uglies are so important. We can't overlook them. They really are. That's how you win Super Bowls. But
the trenches.
That's perfect. In the trenches. Yo.
All right.
These defensive guys, though. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say the defensive guys. I know. Well, for one, I know that Drew's fiending to go ahead and get him out. So I'm gonna go ahead and let it over to him here.
Patrick Peterson. Patrick Peterson. Please, for the love of God, go sign Patrick Peterson now. Oh man, dude, Denzel Ward and Patrick Peterson on the opposite sides. Oh, Lord have mercy. And if we're able to go get Marcus May from the Jets, he's 27 years old. He's a free agent, and it's just now becoming so apparent of how sweet he is after Jamal Adams bounced out. He was like the only guy in that secondary that was relevant, but he was more than relevant. But it's just coming up now that he's so sweet. And I think we can get him for a really good deal. I really do. John Johnson, also safety for the Rams. We need safety help. These Browns need safeties bad. And we need another corner. We also need linebackers, but I'm hoping we can pull off. I know. It's just the truth. It's
free agent defense list. The Browns need to sign all 10 of them.
Yeah. I know, but I think if we were to attack in free agency the cornerback position and the safety position, and we use the draft to try to upgrade at linebacker, I still think we can weave in Sion Takitaki and Mac Wilson, and because I think those guys are.
You've been abducted.
Got abducted.
Yes, it's true this time. Wow.
The end of season abduction has occurred.
Yeah.
He's back.
Wait.
He's back.
Was I gone?
You were
Yes.
You were gone.
Oh no.
How did you fight off? How did you fight him off?
Well, y'all seen Austin Powers. I've been judo chopping people since then. It works. It works.
You've been watching me get abducted, and you've got it down now.
Yeah. Man, I got beamed up. I didn't even realize. But so I don't know if you guys heard what I was talking about, but safeties and cornerbacks need to be addressed with free agency. The linebackers need to be addressed in the draft. I still think we can weave in Sion Takitaki and Mac Wilson and Jacob. Lord have mercy, I forgot his name. Jacob Phillips, yes. I think we could still use all of these guys. I don't think we need to change our format of our defense. I don't think we need to do any of that. We run a 4-3, and that's fine. That's good. We're built to do that. So there's no need to go after like a Von Miller or something like that. No, we just let Von go ahead and sit out and go to the team that, whatever. But I think that's how we need to attack this thing. Free agents for safeties and corners, draft for the linebackers. Yeah,
you can get all that information on Black Gimmick ENT. This guy is all over it. He's your Browns expert right here. Like I didn't. A lot of the guys you name, not that I don't know who they are, but they weren't even on my top 12 list of free agents.
Oh,
it's amazing.
So, well, it's just that one guy. It's just that Marcus May is just now. He's just now getting a shot, and he just so happens to be a free agent this year. And it's like he grades out very, very well on PFF. So, and the eye test, of course, you have to give everyone the eye test. He's fast, he's smart, he's instinctual. That's hard to teach. You can't teach instincts. You know what I'm saying? So stuff like that. I think he's our guy. I think he's the guy we need to go for.
Well, just looking down that list, I guess I'm more of an offensive guy as far as, what I've looked at this week. But I think the two names that are on that list defensively for me are what? Ndamukong Suh and Clowney. And I know that I don't think that either of those guys are in the mix to come to Cleveland, but I could see either one or both of those guys going to Chicago and shoring up that D line, maybe give them a presence on the edge. And I think that either one of those, Sue's just hardcore. And Ndamukong Suh's just hardcore. I know he's getting older, but man, that guy still plays harder than 99% of the guys in the league. And I think that his presence, even though he's had his moments, most of the guys he plays with say that he's a good teammate and they would go to battle with him no matter what. Clowney, I don't know if he's as established as Suh, but I think either one of those guys could help a defense that's right there. Just need that little bit of presence in the middle and an outside rush. But those are the two guys that I think on the list of defensive players could really make a difference on someone's team.
Absolutely. There's one name I haven't heard yet. I'm gonna see if Andy mentions them here first. Who you got defensively, Andy?
So the first thing I'm going to do real quick is it's going to sound like a little bit of a wish list, but hey, you guys know what you came here for. Look, we're doing this podcast out of Akron, Ohio, so of course I got a wish list for my Browns. I got 3 players that I would really love to see the Browns go after. The first, and not in any particular order, but the first is Richard Sherman, 1 or 2 year deal, and simply as a locker room guy. He can add a couple plays. You're not going to play him every down, every snap, but in the locker room, he would be huge. Second guy, kind of along those same lines, I would love to see J.J. Watt here. I think J.J. Watt on this edge would be fantastic. He probably plays 60% of your snaps. Although, funny hidden stat that I didn't know of, I would never have thought of. Do you know J.J. Watt played the most snaps of any defensive lineman last year? That took me by huge surprise. So I was very surprised by that. And then the last guy I want, he is a safety. His name is Anthony Miller, and he's from the Vikings. And if you look at the, what everybody's going to take away from the Buccaneers defense is how they stopped Patrick Mahomes, and that's a 2-split safety up top deep. And that's what he's played his whole career under Mike Zimmer. And I think he would fit in really, really nicely here in our system as well. And like Drew was saying earlier, we need safety help in an extreme way. But if we're not looking so much at the Browns, then I think possibly the biggest fish out there left is, there's actually a couple, but I think Yannick Ngakoue. I think he's got a chance to go somewhere and make some big money.
Yeah, now that's Baltimore, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I imagine that what they're trying to do out there, they will try to keep him there. Their defense really started to form last year, which makes them one of the scary teams too. And I never like to pick Baltimore for anything, especially because I just don't really believe in Lamar Jackson being a legitimate quarterback yet. Still, I don't even care about the whole touchdown season, everything. He's more of a gimmick. But their defense playing well actually does make that a little bit dangerous, because when they can keep people from putting points on the board, that gimmick is enough to get points on, but they just can't catch up. So I think the one thing that Harbaugh will do is make sure he keeps that defense all put together. If not, makes it better. I did hear that they're looking to address that offensive line too. So some of those guys we skipped out on the name of may come into play there. Patrick Peterson though, that's the big name for me. I do think that he's going to make a difference somewhere. Landon in Cleveland would be very, very interesting. As far as defense is concerned, New England has plenty of it. Tampa Brady has plenty of it, so I'm not worried about those guys getting any. I hope as many of the guys on this list as possible land on the Cleveland Browns. Melvin Ingram, maybe. That's a big one. That would be nice. So hopefully they make a splash. I think they have a decent amount of money to go pick up a couple names, but they are going to have to address a lot of the positions in the draft. Any other positions, names, moves, or anything like that you guys see before we wrap everything up? Maybe someone we didn't mention. And
the only thing I got that we didn't really mention is I think nobody's talking about it, but I think the Jacksonville Jaguars need to make a big splash at wide receiver, because we all know they're going to draft old Sunshine down there with Herb. So I think they need to make a splash with wide receiver to give him a true number one target. DJ Chark is nice, but he would be best served as a number two, I think. If you get him and Allen Robinson down there, not obviously, I'm not saying that he's going to sign there, because dude probably wants to win, but Trevor Lawrence coming in the league is going to need somebody to throw to.
Well, that's interesting. Isn't that where Robinson started, right? Was Jacksonville.
Oh, correct.
And the next question I have, this is for you guys as far as that goes. Do you guys really think Trevor Lawrence is going to be a good pro quarterback?
Man, it's tough to say, because every quarterback crumbles under pressure. So is their offensive line going to be able to hold up? I think that may be the thing that they need to go after. You know what I'm saying? It's up in the air. I don't think he's going to be Joe Burrow. I think Joe Burrow's going to end up being like an all-time great. Like, I really do. I don't know about that with Trevor Lawrence. The whole world was on Tua Tagovailoa, and that's gone down the toilet. I mean, but they're not giving that guy a chance to develop. I think Trevor Lawrence is also going to need time to develop. They'll come out and kill him every time he screws up, every time he's not performing as well as a top-tier quarterback, you know what I'm saying? But it's hard to say. I don't really I would say he's going to end up like in a couple years top half in the league. Just trying to be fair with it.
Yeah, every quarterback is going to have a good career in the NFL nowadays. So, for the most part, I guess. So I don't think that he'll be all right. It depends on who they're going to get for him. They'll probably get him like AJ Green or something, which will make no difference.
That sounds like the worst combination ever. But it sounds totally realistic at the same time. Oh man. And Lord, don't let the backup quarterback have any skill, because we've all seen how well Urban Meyer makes decisions about which quarterback to start, Cardell Jones or JT Barrett. I think he let Joe Burrow go for Dwayne Haskins. Yeah. No to all of that.
All right, let's that's gonna probably be about it. We ran through all the free agents and stuff like that, so let's go ahead and jump through your last takes here. Same order, Drew. What you want to wrap up with here today?
I know I got a little bit selfish with the defensive players into Cleveland, but my mind just went there as I'm checking this list out. I'm like, the Browns need him, the Browns need him, and him. And so I really think those are moves that we need to make, honestly, from the bottom of my heart. So same as always, for my final thought, go Cavs, go Indians. Yes, I'm calling them the Indians until we have a different name. And go Browns. Did I say them Browns already?
You said them.
Cavs. Go Cavs.
Okay.
Yeah, they've kind of taken a little bit of a hit.
These dudes, they fell off the damn. Oh, they're killing me right now. Look, we'll be okay. It's a tough stretch. We're a young team. We'll get through it. We'll get back to our winning ways soon enough.
Yeah, as far as that Cavs stuff goes, you know what? Young teams like that put a little stretch together. That long West Coast road trip tends to bring you back to earth. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
I know that putting those streaks together, but you know what? The Super Bowl was not great. Actually, this free agency thing is pretty amazing with all the lists and the names. And like you guys said, we're probably going to see more quarterback changes this year than we've seen in the past 5 years combined, as far as when we get to this season. But my last thought is, look, guys, it's a couple days. Pitchers and catchers are reporting to spring training. So it's about to be baseball time, fellas.
Yeah.
That's what happens with me. Ever since like I said, I haven't watched NBA much over the last few years, so it's kind of been this routine. As soon as the Super Bowl's over, I'm in baseball mode, and I'm getting ready for my drafts. And hopefully we'll have our home run derby together this year and be able to put that out, because that'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we're definitely going to try to work on that. That's something I'm going to get with you guys about for sure. Andy, final thoughts?
Yeah, my final thoughts are going to have nothing to do with the show today. So my final thoughts are this. We don't talk about them, but I will. And you should check out the Akron Zips, man. Second in the conference. March Madness coming up. I really hope these boys get a shot that they should have gotten last year to play in March Madness. Go check them out. Number 2, Chris Livingston from Akron, Buchtel, leading the state in points, leading the state in rebounds. Check him out if you get a chance.
Yeah, we definitely are going to go ahead and highlight some of his play here within the next couple of weeks on the show.
Averaging 32 and 18. 32 and 18.
Sick.
That's a bad boy right there. NBA ready. Mine is actually, one of mine is going to be a meme. It's a meme that I have up here. It goes, 1 year ago today, or no, this was a couple days ago, or no, something, whatever. Tom Brady was a free agent. Some people thought would retire. Leonard Fournette was cut by the Jags. Antonio Brown was in jail, and Gronk was a WWE wrestler. Wow. They all scored touchdowns in the Super Bowl. It's just to let you know, kids, anything is possible. No matter how low down in the dumps you are, you can still be a champion, no matter what. And I'm sorry, but I have to say this because someone just texted to me. 2 Super Bowls, Patrick Mahomes, 556 yards, 2 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and a 64 QB rating. So he's going to have to step those up a little bit because it sounds a little bit like he's not one of the best quarterbacks to actually play in Super Bowl games here. So, but yeah, next week's show, check us out. We are working. Wait for it. Look out for the promotions on Black Gamma ENT and IUWEtalk Sports. We are going to be starting back up our debate-em sessions. We know that you guys love them. We'll be bringing them to you guys live, and we look to get some heated battles going on here. Some new extreme rules too. So can't wait to bring that to you guys. Thanks again for having us and listening to us here. And until next time, the deuces.
Peace.
Patrick Peterson.